the projects that we've got going for the garden this spring is to set up a bucket system for some tomatoes. We'll bring you along so you can see what that looks like. So our idea for the tomatoes this year, trying something a little different, is to use some cattle mineral tubs, large buckets. We were able to get a good number of them. I think we picked up 20 of them for $5 each, which is a good deal for those buckets. They're good sized, and we're starting to get these in place. Let me kind of show you. So I don't have the exact spacing yet or anything. You got to work with Sarah on this. It's her big idea, but we're thinking 10 mineral tubs, and we're going to do an arch between them using the cattle panels and set up a tomato trellis. And as we get more progress done on this, I'll be sure to bring you along. It'll be interesting, something new for the garden. Never done it before, so we're going to see what it does, how it works. Just got back. We're emptying the truck into the pots that we've set up. You can see that we have 10 pots set up, and 10 cattle mineral tubs is about 1 yard of soil. But wait, there's more. So we're in the middle of setting up this is going to be our tomato arch, or tomato tunnel, and you can see I've got some of the T-posts in here, and we're going to put them in on this side. And there's 10 pots, and then we've got more T-posts down here, and then we've got our cattle panels here. And as we get this going, I'll be sure to update you. So I've made a little more progress. You can see we got the first cattle panel up, got the buckets. We got one more cattle panel to put up. We're going to put in 2 more T-posts right here where the 2 pots meet on both sides. And then we'll get the second cattle panel up. That'll be a nice space to grow tomatoes. You can see it'll be nice and tall. We're probably going to need to get a step stool to harvest any indeterminate tomatoes that get up that tall. But I'll update you again when this is done. Well, it's bright out here. It's near the end of the day. We finished our tomato trellis, our tomato arch. Let me spin you around so you can take a better look. You can see we have our pots. We've got our cattle panel in now, T-posts. It looks pretty decent. It's not perfect, but you know, it's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to grow tomatoes. For reference, south is that way. East, the sun will come up over behind those trees and come up over. So the ones on this side will get a little more shade. We need to have shade for tomatoes. The full sun is too much for them here. So we'll see what the ones on this side do, and we'll see how this whole thing does. This is a new experiment for us. We've never done tomatoes like this. It was just a bright idea we had one day. We were sitting talking, and we said, let's try it. And so that's what we're doing. And you'll get to see how this thing does on our garden tours. So keep an eye out for our North Texas garden tours, and we'll be sure to update you.
Before we plant our tomatoes, we are going to plant some soil amendments. Since our soil is just compost from our local municipality, it's the best soil that I've found, but there's definitely still room for improvement. I am wanting to add Mineralite. Now, this is a product that's put out by the Redmond Salt Company, and It's mostly minerals. It also has silica, it has humates, it has lots of trace minerals. So tomatoes are, they're hungry plants. They're heavy feeders. So we want to make sure that we give them the best nutrition that we can. So we're going to start with this, and I'm just going to sprinkle some on each of the pots. Okay, I wish the breeze would stop blowing. The next thing we want to add is dried molasses. This is really good for giving a boost to your soil biology, something to feed the microbes. And since this has not been planted in before, it really needs that. Trying to give the tomatoes the best start possible. Well, the rain finally stopped, so we're gonna try and get these in the ground. On this side, we are planting cherry tomatoes. I've got 10 different varieties that I've started this year. The smaller tomatoes do better in our Texas heat, and so I really want to get a lot of different colored tomatoes. It just makes the salads pretty and they're fun. So let me share with you what kinds I'm growing. This one is called Amy's Apricot Mix, and it's a new variety and the color hasn't quite settled out. So all I know is that it's gonna be some shade of orange. It could be lighter or darker or somewhere in between. It's gonna be fun to find out. The next one is called Black Cherry. We have Chocolate Cherry. We have Sunrise Bumblebee. That one is a pink one with like orange stripes, like a sunset or a sunrise. The next is, I think you pronounce it Riesentraub, and it's just a standard red cherry tomato, but this variety is known for being really prolific. This one is one I saved from a rainbow mix last year, and I don't know the name of the variety, but it's a pale yellow cherry tomato. This one is a black strawberry. We have Brad's Atomic Grape. That one is supposed to be the best tasting from Baker Creek tomatoes, so I'm hoping it does really well. We have Blue Cream Berries, and that one's both blue and cream. That should be fun. And this last one is called White Cherry Tomato, and it is one of the sweetest tomatoes that I have tried, and it was fairly prolific. So I have high hopes for that one too. And then on this side, I want to plant all Amish paste. I want to get enough tomatoes that I can actually can some. So we're gonna try. The last thing that I add when I am planting is Microlife, and this is just my go-to transplant fertilizer. It has mycorrhizal fungi in there. They call it a hybrid organic biological fertilizer. So it has always done really well for me in the past, so I'm sticking with it. And I get this on Amazon. It comes in smaller pouches too, but I use enough of it, it's more economical to get the big one. We first found out about this when we went to an Earth Day exhibition down in downtown Dallas. It was at EarthX at the fairgrounds in Dallas, and they gave out free samples. I guess it was the company owner, and he said, you know, plant this, mix this into one of your jalapenos and compare it to your other jalapenos and see how much better it does. And it works great. So we've been using it ever since then. When you plant tomatoes, leave at least 3 leaves at the top, but you can plant them really deep because they will grow roots out of their stem. And it makes for stronger plants. Wow, we're getting down to dry soil.
I'm out here with Sarah working on the tomatoes, but you know, she just mentioned that we had, she was getting down to dry soil, which is kind of amazing because we had big storms come through last night and dumped some rain on us. We're only down a couple of inches in this, and you can see I'm touching the bottom, and that is dry soil down there. So the rain didn't get very deep into those buckets. They're fairly deep, but that just shows you watering is important. Even when you think you've got a lot of water and rain, you may need to water.
I went and got a watering can because even though I watered these to hydrate the soil, and we got rain most of the day today, it's still, after I get down about that far, it's dry underneath. And I want to make sure that the tomatoes have moisture for their roots. Good. I'm wanting to fill up the hole with water and let that sink in so that the entire area surrounding the plant will be well hydrated. One of the things that I have recently learned is that when you're growing tomatoes, one of the most important things is regular watering. They don't like to dry out and they don't like to sit in water. So you want to get them where they almost dry out and then water them again. So I'm learning. It has soaked in, so I'm adding some fertilizer. And I'm using cow pots. You can see the roots are starting to come through. I love these because you can just plant the whole pot and there's no transplant shock. And that did not go as deep as I thought it would. That'll do. There we go. Look at the roots on this one. It is so ready to be planted. Very healthy. You may have noticed on the cherry tomatoes that there were 2 that I pulled aside. They still have a couple days to harden off. They need to be acclimated to being outside. And so each day I've been letting them stay out a little bit longer, but they're not quite ready yet. So when they're ready, then they'll get planted with the rest. Over here, I am getting ready to plant the Amish paste, and I'm gonna do those just the same way as I did the cherry tomatoes. Well, we've had rain since we stopped filming the last one, And you can see the tomato plants have gotten bigger since then, and the carrots that we planted as a companion plant have started coming up. You can see the tomato plants are looking really good. What I need to do is trim off the bottom leaves. That will help with splashback from the rain getting on the leaves and help prevent soil-borne diseases like blight. We don't want that. So let me get these bottom leaves off. Pretty much anything that's touching the soil we'll want to take off. There, that looks better. There's no more leaves touching the ground. It's drooping a little bit. I think it needs some water. Okay, I clipped up the lower leaves on the plants. You can see there's no more that are touching the ground, and these leaves like to grow long. So I had to do it more than once. And the reason that we want to do that is so that they won't get splashback from the soil when it rains. You can imagine the raindrop hitting the soil and the soil coming and splashing up. There are bacteria in the soil that can cause tomato diseases like blight, and we don't want that. So clipping them up and then putting down mulch is what you want to do with tomatoes. Now, I haven't put down mulch because I planted carrots in the pot with the tomatoes as a companion plant, and I'm hoping that will act as a living mulch. So I'm hoping that will act as a living mulch. I may still go back and add leaves on the backside to help mulch them in and keep them moist, prevent disease. Well, with these tomatoes in the containers, for the carrots that are starting, I've been watering them every morning and every evening if we don't get rain. Because you don't want carrot seeds to dry out or they won't sprout. But I'm discovering that even with that much watering, and it's not a heavy watering, it's just enough to keep the soil moist. So even on our 80-degree days, some of the tomatoes were still getting droopy by the end of the day. So I want to make sure they have enough water. One of the things I've learned recently is that watering tomatoes regularly is so important. And it's not just so that you don't get the flavor washed out when you have tomatoes or so the skins won't split, but it's for the plant health itself. So what I plan to do is to put in a drip system that we can hook up to the hose, and that will give them some slower, deeper watering, and we'll see if they like that better. Well, we hope you have learned something from this. We have liked how this tomato tunnel is turning out so well. We are going to do another one. And you can see behind me, we're already getting the pot set up, and we will keep you posted as to how well this works and what our successes and challenges are in the future. Thanks for joining us.